Okay, boys, I don't know what's happened in the last couple hours, but there's been so much news. It's absolutely crazy. Uh, Everything's popping off, so I'll just quickly go over what's happened recently. Obviously, we know Garnacho is now officially here we go. We've known he was joining Chelsea for a while now, but it's actually official, and he's completed his medical, so he won't be, featuring against Fulham tomorrow. But I imagine he'll probably be at the bridge. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of this transfer, but it's whatever. He's a Chelsea player now, so I'm going to support him, and hopefully he can do well for us, and he can prove me wrong. I won't be upset if he proves me wrong and he turns out to be a good player. But from what I've seen at United and for the national team, the mentality seems like an issue for me. But I'm going to move on. I don't want to be too negative because there's a few more negatives later on in the video as well. Look, Xavi Simons was off to Tottenham. I said this in my video yesterday. I said, if I had to put money on it, I think Xavi Simons is going to Spurs. It seems like the obvious replacement for Maddison. They've been, putting out big money for Nico Paz, Savinho, players of this caliber. It made sense. He was in London. And we've just been sat on our hands for 6 weeks, so I can't be upset about Xavi Simons going there. We've made it out like we wanted to get him, and we haven't. We didn't even put a bid in. So no official bid from Chelsea, just personal terms for 6 weeks. Don't exactly know what's happened there, to be honest. And I'm sure it'll be a good signing for Spurs. It's a player they needed. I think his wages were a little high for us. The only players on that kind of wages, I think, is like Fofana at the moment, and he was before the previous sporting directors came in, right? So, but I thought with him going Spurs, this means we're going to accelerate. We're going to get Fermin Lopez, or perhaps we're going to get, Rodgers from Villa, or there's going to be like a secret name. But little did I know, this secret name would be none other than Buonanotte. I mean, what do you even say? I'm kind of dumbfounded by this news, to be honest. This came out, 50 minutes ago. We're looking to sign Buonanotte from Brighton. He was previously on loan at Leicester. Played okay, nothing special. And we're only getting him on loan as well, which makes me think, do we not have the funds? Are we struggling with, UEFA's squad registration, and we still don't quite have the, unless Jackson's gone and we're sort of panicking? Because at the moment, I'd rather keep Jackson than force him out of the club and sign players like these, Like, is this guy better than Jackson? For the attacking position, I don't know. That's a question you've got to ask, right? So he's right-footed, going to play in that central. He's going to be a backup to Palmer, and it's a player who probably doesn't mind being a backup to Palmer, right? And he could potentially play off the left as well, cutting in with his right foot. But we've just signed Garnacho, so it's like, do we really need that? Because Garnacho is going to be doing that. He's sharing the burden with Neto on the left, right? And we've got Gittins, so we don't really need him playing there. So he's more of just backup for the Palmer, playing central. But we've also got João Pedro who can play there. If we want to play the lap up front, and we can go with like a two-man up front, right? Like we saw in our last game against West Ham, and like I predict, we'll start with against Fulham. So, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I don't really understand it. I thought if it was for Bluco, maybe I'd see where he's going with Enciso failing his medical, and the whole role of Enciso was he was going to go to Strasbourg for a year, right? And then after a year, the plan was he comes back to Chelsea. But this is no mention of, Bluco or going to Strasbourg. This is straight up just a loan to Chelsea. No obligation to buy or anything like that. Nothing that we've seen so far. Obviously, it's still early news, so I don't want to jump to too many conclusions, right? But you can see here with Ornstein as well. So Chelsea close to agreement with Brighton and Hove Albion to sign Buonanotte. A 20-year-old Brighton winger spent last season at Leicester. Now Chelsea working to secure the Argentinian on temporary basis. So no mention of, obligation to buy. We're going to get him on loan, and then we're going to go out and purchase him. So I really don't understand this. And I think it looks bad, on Chelsea as well for the sporting directors. I don't understand how we can be putting these names out there and, during the club briefings, right? And saying, we want Xavi Simons, we want Fermin Lopez, we want this kind of caliber of attacking midfielder, right? Potentially even Rodgers, but I think Rodgers would demand too much of a fee. But even then, it's just it's a player that should be coming to Chelsea, right? If we want to compete for the Champions League, if we want to compete for the league, look at the money Arsenal are spending and Liverpool potentially looking at Isaac as well. Still, after bringing in Ekiteke and Wirtz, and we're just like, you know what? Let's get another 20-year-old from Brighton. It just it's not moving the needle for me. I don't understand it. I'd just rather us, you know what? We didn't want to get Xavi Simons. Let's just spend 60, 65, and let's get Fermin Lopez because he's a good player. He's going to fit our system, and he's a clear upgrade on Buonanotte. And unless we're just only doing this purely for backup for Palmer, but even then, it's just what a waste of the whole Xavi Simons saga. And was it purely PR, just briefing to the club that we want Fermin Lopez, and behind the scenes we were really working on this. I just I don't understand it. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, right? He's not a bad player. He's technically great, a good ball striker, but he hasn't lit the Prem on fire tonight. He hasn't done anything outstanding to warrant, Chelsea being like, okay, let's go out and get him on loan. If anything, he should be going to, a club lower below, a club sort of mid-table standards, and proving his worth there. And then after, maybe a good season, Chelsea are like, you know what, he is. But it seems like such a risk. We get him on loan, and he's going to get 20-minute cameos off the bench, if that. Potentially, if Palmer's injured, he can play there. But, if you look up our predicted lineup for against Fulham now, I don't see how he makes the team. So I don't understand this signing at all. And look, one more detail: Buonanotte deal has always and only been for Chelsea. So look, it's not for Strasbourg, it's not Blueco or any of that nonsense. No discussions. So it is a straight up loan to Chelsea. But this is the predicted lineup. But this is also the lineup I would go with as well. So I think Footmob have got it correct here. So if you look at this lineup, where does Buonanotte get in here? So Palmer's injured, right? So the obvious replacement should be able to fit in. Now, we're quite lucky João Pedro is so versatile, he can play there. And we can play Delap if we're against a more physical team, which Fulham are going to be. So I would start Delap anyway. But, in other scenarios where you'd want to start João Pedro there, imagine if we had a Fermin Lopez or a Xavi Simons here with Estevao and Neto either side. It already looks so much more dynamic. Buonanotte isn't speaking to me. I don't understand it, but I don't want to dwell on it too much. Let's focus on the game against Fulham now. We've got more information to come out. It's still only been an hour since the news has dropped, so let's wait for more updates. And obviously, if we get any more information, I'll make a video covering it. But let's focus on Fulham now. Look, early kick-off tomorrow, 12:30. If you're looking by the bookies, we're quite big favourites, and in my opinion, I think we should win this game as well. Fulham have got 2 points. They've had 2 draws this season. I think they were unlucky. They probably should have beaten United. But again, that's not saying much. Grimsby just beat United. So, yes, they looked okay against them. I think it's a team we should go out and beat, especially at home. They're not going to make it easy for us. They're going to be quite hard to break down. Smith Rowe and Muniz could be potential issues for us. I'd have James starting. I don't want to see Gusto starting, to be honest. I don't think he warranted, starting. He didn't do too much, whether it's just James easing him back in, because obviously the fitness issue is always there, right? But, the through ball James did to, link up to one of the goals in the West Ham victory. Reece James is there with Palmer as our best players. So Reece James has to start. If he's not fully fit, then I get it. But no, I want to see Reece James in the starting lineup. And then Chalobah and Tosin, I like that partnership. I don't think it's a partnership that means you win the league, but I think it's good enough to get top 4, which looks like that's all we really care about this season. It's quite clear they just want us to get another top 4, potentially get a few more outgoings next season, and then we'll bring in some other players. Don't really understand the direction. I thought, this season we could have pushed on a bit and maybe signed some big boys. But we haven't really done that, have we? We're getting Buonanotte, so don't really understand it. Cucurella obviously is going to start and play. There's no real competition there. Obviously Enzo and Caicedo, I'd have in the pivot. I think Enzo should have a pretty good game again. He's going to see a lot of the ball. Fulham are going to try and play counter-attacking, so we're going to need Enzo to be on his game and not drop a performance like he did against Crystal Palace. I need to see his consistency. If Caicedo can consistently have a good game every single game, Enzo's more than capable of doing that, so I'd like to see Enzo step up, especially for this game. Estevao, for me, starts again, absolutely electric against West Ham. So good to watch. He's only going to get better as well. So for me, he has to start. I'd much rather him play on the right and we move Neto over to the left. Then we have Neto on the right and then we play Gittins on the left. I think Gittins, it's not bad to come off the bench and, have 30, 25-minute cameos. He's so fast and his dribbling's great. So he's good against tired legs. So, for me, Estevao, we saw the link up on that right-hand side. Estevao, João Pedro, Delap, and then Reece James getting involved as well. Our right-hand side seems a lot stronger than our left-hand side. But that's just something we've got to deal with. And João Pedro, obviously, is going to start. He got a goal and 2 assists against West Ham. There's no real competition for him in that position, especially when Palmer's injured, right? The only other thing I could see is maybe the Estevao plays centrally, Neto goes there, and we play Gittins, and we decide to drop Delap. But personally, even though Delap didn't get a goal or assist against West Ham, he played good. He had good link-up play to, assist for Estevao running in and then crossing it to Enzo, right? So, yes, he doesn't get any stats for that, but he got a pre-assist, which, pre-assist doesn't really mean much, but look, without him, we don't get that goal. So he did contribute, he did play well. I'd like to see him get a goal in the Prem just to help with his confidence as well. So for me, I'd start Delap. We need the physicality, especially against Fulham. Then they're going to come here and they're going to try and, sit back and play on the counter. So we're going to need an extra, target man. I'm just seeing here Roma have made an offer for Tyreek Church. There we go. So I think that'll get done. Well, let's see how much that goes for. I'd like 25 mil. And then Neto starts again. Neto's, he's in great form. Not many fullbacks can stop him. He's always going to get at least one dangerous cross off a game. Sometimes he can be a little frustrating, but I think he's getting more consistent now as well, especially if he's only going to play more, right? So this is what I play. This would be my starting lineup, and Footmob's got it right as well. So look, Cole Palmer, it was confirmed. Maresca, right, said he's injured. So he should be fine after the international break. It doesn't make sense trying to rush him. This, in theory, should be a game we're capable of winning without Fulham, without Palmer playing against Fulham, right? So, and then potential players we can come off the bench. So Gittins can play off that left. Andre Santos will probably get another cameo. Joel Hatto, maybe if we're winning, say 2-0, he can come on and just shore up the defence a little bit. Maybe Gusto if we're winning comfortably and we want to rest James. So we've got options off the bench. So I'd say, I'm going to say 2-0 Chelsea. Maybe 2-1 Chelsea. I don't know if we'll keep a clean sheet. I'd like us to keep a clean sheet. I don't know if we will. I think Munoz could cause us issues. Maybe Smith Rowe as well. I think the first half will be harder than the second half. Similar to what happened against West Ham. The first 20 minutes might be a bit cagey. Fulham might go at us a little bit. But once we really settle into the game, we're dominating possession, dictating play. I think we'll crack on from there, to be honest. And then in the second half, we've got more dangerous options coming off the bench. And I think the squad depth is going to show, especially from 60, 70 minutes onwards. I'm predicting Estevao to have another good game. I'm excited to watch him play. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea, 2-1 Chelsea. I don't think it's going to be, free-flowing, an easy win, cruise sailing. The first half will be difficult. We potentially might even go a goal down, but we've got so much depth and, attacking talent. And we're playing good football at the moment. It's only defensively we're a bit shaky, but attacking-wise, the passing triangles, the link-up and play, really positive. So I'm predicting a win for us. We need a win. If we're looking at our next couple of fixtures, right, we need to win this game. We go away to Brentford. I've predicted Brentford to be relegated. They've got quite a poor squad. That's a game we should be winning, right? Then we've got Karabag in the Champions League. That's not confirmed, I don't think. No, it's not. Look, apparently we're playing every game on Tuesday, so no, that's not confirmed. But But the next game in the league is, it's showing me all the Champions League ones, is Man United. So hopefully Amarin's still in charge, and we could get our Old Trafford win, because I don't think we've had one of them for a while. I won't be surprised if Amarin's sacked by then, and they get an interim, and then they get their bounce, and their bounce just happens to be against Chelsea, right? And so that's why we need these so-called easy fixtures. We need to win them, right? We need to beat Fulham. We need to beat Brentford. So when we go into that game against United at Old Trafford, regardless if they've got a new manager bounce or what have you, we need to go there and we need to perform, and we should go there and we should win. It's a really poor United team. It's going to be a bit of drama with Garnacho there as well. So, look, exciting games ahead. 12:30 tomorrow is the game against Fulham. So unless we get any more, breaking, developing news, that'll be it until about 2:00, and I'll drop the video reacting to the hopefully Chelsea victory. But if not, let's see what tomorrow brings. So I'll see you boys then. Up the Chelsea. Hopefully we win. Okay, peace.